What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going through some more of my top Procreate tips for absolute beginners. Now, if you guys have got any tips you think I should have featured in this video, or if there's anything you're struggling to do on Procreate that you want to know how to do, make sure you let us know in the comments down below and I'll be sure to feature it in the next video. That being said, let's get into it. Tip number one of this video is definitely more of a personal preference thing, but I don't know how many times this happened to me before I realised I could change it. And I'd be working away on a design, and without knowing, I'd accidentally double tap my Apple Pencil, which would change to the rubber, and I'd end up rubbing out half my design. Now obviously this can be easily undone by double tapping two fingers on the screen, but you can actually change that function off. So if you come out of Procreate and go on to settings, come down to Apple Pencil, you can actually change what the double tap does. So you can have it switch between current tool and eraser. That's what it's normally set to when you first buy it. Switch between current tool and last used. Show color palette, show attributes, but I just choose to have it off. And that means when you're working away on your design, you've got no chance of accidentally switching to the rubber. So it means you're not going to be constantly rubbing out half your design all the time. Tip number two, you've obviously got this bar at the side, which is to change the size of your pencil. You can also change the opacity of your pencil, and it also has your little colour finder there. But did you know that if you swipe in from the side, you can actually change whereabouts on the screen it is, and once you leave go of it, it'll stay there. Tip number three, did you know there's a tool that actually allows you to clone your design elsewhere on the page? If you click on the magic wand tool and come down to clone, you get this little circle. Now if you use your finger rather than the Apple Pencil and move this to somewhere on the design, that'll allow you to start cloning the design from where that circle is. So you can see as I move my Apple Pencil down here, that little circle moves around on my design, and you can clone the entire design or just parts of it. And now if I wish to, I could start cloning again somewhere else. Tip 4, I just want to quickly go over how I created this gradient design, which is obviously excellent for tattoo design and can also be used in logos. So you obviously start out with your basic outline, and how I assumed you do it would be to fill in all the letters with black. And then I thought you would just rub out the tops of them to create the effect, but as you can see, it doesn't leave any outline, it literally rubs everything out. So the way I found to do it, which seems to work the best, is if you have your outline on one layer, like I have here, and then you want to come down to your layers, click on the layer with your outline, and set that to a reference. And then you create a new layer just above it, and then you want to work on this new layer. You want to fill in the letters, and as the layer below it is a reference, it only fills within the lines, even though this is actually on a completely separate layer. And you fill in all your letters black, and then you choose a brush. I like to use the soft airbrush, sorry, just the soft brush, but you choose it on the rubber setting instead of the pen setting. So you choose that, and then when you'll see when you start rubbing away, as the outline's on the layer below, it leaves it there because you're only rubbing out the colour layer. So if I was to click the outline off now, you'll see all the colours just on this layer 5, and you've still got your outline on the layer below it by itself. So tip number 5 is a really good time saving one. So say if I'm designing a tattoo and I want to import an image. Say for example I want to bring in this skull, but I don't want the black background. Originally what a lot of people might think you would have to do is use the freehand tool to cut round it, which can be very time consuming, and sometimes you don't get the best edge if you're not being very careful with it. But something to that effect, and then you can remove the image from the background. Well, a much quicker way you can actually do it, which is really good, is if you bring your photos up from the bottom, drag them to the side, and now I've got that skull there, and with me Apple Pencil, if I hold down on it, it'll select just the skull and bring that in without the background. So tip number 6 is a really useful one if you're working on a design that has multiple colours. So say you're working away on a design, and every time you want to change the colour, you have to come up to here and use your palettes, and you're changing your colours all the time, and then you're working away with that, and then you have to come up and choose another colour. What you can do is, rather than having to do that, you can open your palette and you can drag it, and you can keep it on the screen at all times. So you can just be working away and you can keep changing your colours that way. Then you can also have it to any different of the palettes you want, just by cycling through them. Tip number 7. In my last video, I explained how you could essentially create a perfect shape by drawing the shape, keeping the pencil held down on the page, and then pressing one finger on the page to create that perfect shape. But what you can also do is click this little ball that comes up at the top and click circle, and it'll allow you to edit that shape to wherever you want. So you can stretch it out, you can move it around, and it creates a lot more opportunities what you can do with it. Tip number 8, I'm going to show you a good way that you can easily shade designs without going out the lines. So what I want to do first is fill it with my main colour. I'll just choose this green just for an example. So I colour drop that into there. Then I want to come down to my layers, click on the layer, and I want to click on alpha lock. And what that'll do is allow us just to colour within the lines. So say if I choose my black brush, you'll see that no matter where I'm drawing, it's not letting us do anything. But as I come within that circle, it'll let us shade just within them lines. So obviously this is really good if you're doing more of a 3D image, or if you're doing like realism and stuff like that. But it's a really good way. It's also really good for like shading tattoos and lettering and stuff like that. But that's something that'll really come in handy with your designs. Tip number 9. In my last video, we're talking about how 2-finger tap would be undo and a 3-finger tap would be redo. But what you can actually do is use a 2-finger tap and hold, and it'll cycle all your brush strokes until you remove your fingers. And if you use 3 fingers, tap and hold, it'll redo all of them. For the final tip of this video, I just want to show you how you can change any full color reference image to black and grey. So obviously this is a good one for tattoo designers, but can obviously be used for a whole host of applications. So I've got this picture, it's obviously full color. If I come up to the magic wand tool, come down to hue, saturation and brightness, and I turn the saturation right down, it'll transform that into a black and grey image. Right people, that's the end of this video. Like I mentioned at the start, if you do have any tips or questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments below and I'll include them in the next video. If you did manage to stick around at the end, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It'll give you the opportunity to keep up to date with all these videos, and it'll help my channel to grow. That being said, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.